Welcome to the TOEFL Listening section. In this section, you will listen to an academic lecture and then answer questions about what you heard. You may take notes while you listen. You will have time to review your notes before answering the questions. Listen to part of a lecture in a university class. You will hear the lecture only once, so listen carefully. After the lecture, you will answer some questions about what you heard. Some questions ask about the main ideas and supporting details. Other questions ask you to make inferences or connections between ideas. Answer each question based on what is stated or implied in the lecture.
Today we will examine the bebop revolution that reshaped jazz in the 1940s, and the small group of musicians who led that change. Bebop emerged as a reaction against the commercial big band swing era and the dancehall culture that dominated the 1930s. Important figures include alto saxophonist Charlie Parker, trumpeter Dizzy Gillespie, pianist Thelonious Monk, pianist Bud Powell, and drummers Kenny Clarke and Max Roach. These musicians gathered in places like Minton's Playhouse in Harlem and on 52nd Street in New York to explore rapid tempos, complex harmonies, and new rhythmic phrasing. A hallmark of bebop is the move to small combinations, usually quartets or quintets, where improvisation and interaction were central. Recordings such as Parker's Coco, Gillespie's Salt Peanuts, and Monk's Epistrophe illustrate bebop traits in concrete form. Technically, bebop introduced more advanced harmonic devices, including tritone substitution, extended chord voicings, and altered dominance. Melodic lines often used chromaticism and rapid phrase contours that implied chord changes, rather than simply outlining them. Another innovation was the use of contrafacts, which are new melodies written over the chord progressions of standard songs. For example, Parker and Gillespie often wrote new heads over familiar changes, allowing them to focus attention on improvisational language. Practically speaking, bebop musicians developed rigorous practice routines, including transcribing solos, learning chord scale relationships, and rehearsing rhythmic displacement exercises. Transcription was essential, because musicians wanted to internalize the vocabulary of Parker and Gillespie, and then apply it in spontaneous settings. Socially, the bebop movement had multiple dimensions, including a desire for artistic autonomy, and a reaction to the economics of big bands after wartime restrictions. It is important to note that bebop was not merely about speed and complexity, but about creating a new vocabulary for improvisation that demanded active listening. Bebop players engaged in conversational interplay, trading fours and responding to harmonic surprises introduced by soloists. This music changed performance contexts, shifting emphasis from danceable tunes to listening experiences in clubs and late-night jam sessions. Educationally, bebop influenced how jazz was taught, with conservatories and private teachers incorporating chord scale theory, voice leading, and bebop lines into curricula. Examples of concrete study include learning Parker phrases, and then reharmonizing them to understand how altered dominants function in progressions. The revolution also redefined virtuosity, valuing acute harmonic insight and rhythmic subtlety as much as technical speed. We should emphasize specific case studies, such as the 1945 sessions where Parker recorded Coco, which demonstrate how bebop musicians extended bebop harmony and rhythmic phrasing in performance. Bebop then laid the groundwork for subsequent developments in jazz, but our focus today is on the characteristics and immediate impact of the bebop revolution itself. Bebop was less about making people dance, and more about a new vocabulary for improvisation. In conclusion, the bebop revolution changed instrumentation, harmonic practice, improvisational pedagogy, and the cultural role of jazz in American music.
Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question.
Bebop was less about making people dance, and more about a new vocabulary for improvisation.
This concludes the listening section. For more TOEFL practice tests and study materials, visit Spinta.org.